The first principle. Squash and stretch. Okay? So now, when you think about squash and stretch, you have to have, in order to have a reaction, you have to have action, right? Or maybe the other way around. But you need to have, you can't just move from, what the hell? Oh, there you go. You need, let's try a nice orange thing. So, we got this box here, right? Now, if I want this box to jump, let's say I want it to jump, the next position would be this, wouldn't it? The next position would be him up in the air, right? So, wait, it would be this. Right? So now what we've got is position A, position B. Well, you can't do that. That's boring, and it doesn't work. I mean, no one would believe that he actually jumped. So what you need is an anticipation to make that work. The way that you do that is to squash the character. So, if we're assuming that this is a character, and you know what, let's give him eyes just so that he looks like a character. Because I'm all about the character. So I'm gonna take the time to draw eyes on him. Wait, but I actually, if you draw eyes, this looks much better. That's weird. Oh, I know why. All right, there we go. So now here's our guy. His name is Boudreaux. That's his name. Boudreaux the box. Dumb, I know. All right. But it worked. This just works better if I show a character. All right, so, and I'm going to put him in his own symbol because that makes it easier for me. Let's even name him Boudreaux. Now, the way that I got that symbol thing is I selected the artwork and I hit F8. And then that gives me the symbol. So now I'm gonna use my selection, my free transform tool. I'm gonna grab him from the bottom, and I'm gonna move the pivot that's in there, and I am going to. So like I said before, pose 1 is this, pose 2 is this. That doesn't work, does it? But if I grab this and add an anticipation, and squash him down, now it's starting to work a little bit better, see? So now watch this. If I actually grab him and stretch him, whoops, not delete him, that would be bad. Let's grab this frame instead. And I'll turn on my, there, so now watch. See, now it's starting to feel like he's jumping. So now, obviously, you can't just jump from this to this either. So let's go back and we'll in between this ever so slightly. See, now it's starting to feel like he's actually alive. So now watch what happens if I actually squash him down a little bit more. Usually it's like the rule of threes for me. I will usually do 3 drawings. In this case, it's not really a drawing, but watch how now it feels like he's jumping just a little bit. See? Doesn't that feel a little more natural now? That is the process of squash. This is the process of stretch, where he stretches before he does it. See? And the reason is that he needs to build up energy in order to make that jump. And then it's so much energy that he actually drags a little bit, which makes it feel like reality. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have him, let's move this up just a little bit more. So now I'm going to have him do what's called a little inertia. And I'll have him come up just a little bit more, maybe a little bit more. And then now I'm going to have him start to come back down again, but I'm going to stretch him. And I'm going to stretch him and squash him both ways. So now watch what happens. See? So now he feels like he's starting to drop down again. Because now he's built up, and then the energy is spent, and then now he's going down. Name him Kaha? Kaja? Kaja? Alright. Oh, hey, what's up, Shrapnel? Yeah, Shrapnel Yeti, I love that name. That's a great name. Turning the camera helped. Oh, okay. Oh, well, that may have something to do with it. It may be directional. So maybe we'll just turn it a little bit more towards me. Cut my big, stupid bullet head off. How about that? Okay, good. Well, maybe that helped. All right, so now we're going to have him squashed down. And basically, I'm going to have him just land where he was. Although I guess not. Did I have him? How did I do that? Oh, I made him go down too far. That's all. So there. All right. So now let's see what this looks like. There's too many drawings there. Sometimes, see, what I've done here is there is a drawing every second frame. This is what's called on twos, but it doesn't have to be on twos. So I might want to drag these a little closer and make this one frame on ones, and it'll feel a little bit better. And then I probably actually don't need this drawing. So, and let's see. So now I want, actually now I could probably keep it on twos, but now because he's landing, see, now that looks good. This part looks good, but that looks weird. And the reason it looks weird is because now he needs to squash down to settle. So let's squash him down just a little bit. We probably don't need to squash him down as much as we did. But let's bring him back up. Oh, and you know what? It's really important. Volume is really important. So I'm going to actually go back and grab that rest drawing there. See, now that feels more natural. Now, that's the squash, but it will feel even more natural if I add in a little bit of stretch. Just one drawing of stretch. So now let's see what this looks like. See? Doesn't that feel better? All right, let's loop playback. Let's get rid of these extra frames so we can kind of watch it as a cycle. Boom. Boom. That works. Now, there's some things that I can see that maybe, like this squash here might actually work better if it's on ones. So let's go do that. Let's see. Yep, see how that has more life to it? That makes a difference. There's a really good demonstration of ones versus twos. Alright, and then probably this can all be on ones too. We could probably add this on ones. And probably even this. In fact, probably the entire thing could be on ones, to be honest. But yeah, look at that. Doesn't that feel nice? It feels nice and bouncy. Now the only thing that I did was make him. I added the squash and stretch. That is the first principle of animation, and you need it in order for your animation to look even remotely realistic. See, I'm changing this all to ones. Now everything is on ones. Let's see what it looks like when it's on ones. First of all, it's going to be much faster. I'm not sure I like that as much. Parts of it I like. Yeah, see, I like that. That feels nice. I think that maybe some of this oh, whoops. He disappears. And poof. Yeah. Yeah, this one definitely needs to be ones. How about that? Yeah, that feels good. Whoops. Probably actually squash him down one more frame. Let's see. Yeah, see, that feels a little bit better. So, shouldn't your character be drawn a 3/4 position? Well, yes, I suppose he should. But if I was going to draw him in a 3/4 position, then it would be, then he would have to be in perspective. So, smartass, here, how about that? Now he's 3/4. There you go. Actually, he looks like a bag. Anyway, so that's the principle of squash and stretch. And you can see that it definitely makes your character feel a little more interesting. So now, let's talk about that. All I did was animate this with one frame. That's all I did here. So, but let's save this. And I'll give you this. Give this to you guys. Alright, so now let's try something else. Now, if you're going to translate this into a character, like I was planning on doing before with carbonate, and we've got a character standing here at rest. If you don't know who carbonate is, then you haven't watched me enough. But carbonate is a artificial life form made in a lab that I created. I didn't make him in the lab, I made him in my mind, but that's what he is in his world. He's made of carbon, so he can change into anything. Look in, you know, he can become anything. If that sounds interesting to you, maybe check out my YouTube page, because I've got a bunch of films that I made on this stream. Alright, so now, if we're going to translate this into a character, you have to think about some different things. You still need the squash and stretch, but if he's going to jump, he needs to obviously squash down. So the way that you would squash him down, and remember, solidity is very important. So the size is important, spatial solidity. So you can't make his head like this. You have to be careful to make his head the right size. So because you want him to move in volume. So anyway, here's my circle. He's going to squash down. I'm going to draw his body here, and I have to keep his feet planted. Right? That's important. So I'm going to squash him down. It's all still the same thing, same principles. I'm just translating it to a body now. Even his arms have to go up. His arms go up. Now I could either have him go like this, or I could have him do this, which I kind of prefer because it's a better pose. But that hand is not a better pose. That hand is a crappy pose. Alright, so now the other thing that I'm going to do, I'm even going to squash his face. Let's see. Yes, it definitely does. That's great, Shrapnel. Thank you. And you are totally right. It does. It does slow down. But I did actually talk about that. Is there a motion tween thingy? Yes, there is. As a matter of fact, I could take this entire thing, select it, right-click, create classic tween, and now it will tween. And it feels just ever so slightly more mechanical, I'd say. Especially at the beginning here when he tweens. He just starts to go down. I mean, that's cool. And it works. It doesn't feel as interesting to me. It feels smoother, but I don't think it feels as interesting. So I'm going to turn that back off again. But yes, there is a tween. And tweens are really useful sometimes. Quite often what I'll do is I'll set a tween. I'll figure out a tween. And then I'll turn off the tween and put twos. So like I'll put a frame every 2 frames. There's actually a command for that. Convert to twos right there that you can get. It's a command that you can install on this program. So anyway, what I was going to say is that I want his face to squash as well. Wait, I should probably read that. I love you. One thing that helps, no, I just read that. Motion to, love you back, Bat. There are 3 types of tween, including a motion tween. Yes, there are. 3? There's 2, isn't there? Maybe there is 3. I used to work with Flash like 8 years. I don't remember a lot yet. Yeah, it's fairly similar. There's just more stuff added to it. Hey, what's up, Ilya Doom? How you doing? I see. Well, I never went further than Flash. Yeah, okay. Mike has not yet used tween in his demo here. It's all frame-by-frame animation. Yes, but there's the tweens. I'll show you tweens in a minute. Let's continue. So I'm going to also even squash his face. Because if you're going to try and jump really high, you're going to strain, right? So by squashing his face, it also helps the animation to feel like he's jumping. So now we've got 2 frames. And he's going to jump. So the next frame, well, obviously, is going to be the jump. So let's jump him. First things first, let's see both drawings so that I can get a sense of where he is. So he's going to jump. And we're going to stretch him out. Let me get the circumference of his head so that it's right. Right. And I'm going to stretch him just a little bit. Make his legs down. His arms down. And I'm going to raise his head up. because usually people look where they're going. Sometimes they look down, I suppose they could. But either way, this looks more interesting than if he was just straight on like that first drawing. And if I make him look up this way, I can make him look down the second time. On the way down, right? Alright, so now we've got... See, and it already feels springy. I didn't even have in-betweens, and it just naturally feels right. So now, as Shrapnel Yeti was saying, now I need to slow down up at the top here. And the way that I do that, I have to let him... He has to expend all of this energy that he already has. So the way you do that is to squash again. See, up at the top here, I'm sure you've seen this before in animation. And we'll have him start looking downward. Although, actually that might work just fine. Alright, so now we've got, see, so now he's squashing. So we start with him sedentary. He antics down, that's the squash. He jumps into the air, that's the stretch. Then we go back to squash, and then now we need a reaction because now, after he's built it all up again, now he's building up energy to fall again because gravity is pulling him back down again. So we're going to have another drawing where he does the same thing. This time, though, I'm going to move him much faster, and I'm going to put his arms way up. In fact, yeah, that'll work. And this isn't like a, this one really isn't a straight in between, I mean a straight stretch, but his body's stretching. See how it's stretching? So now I'm going to go back to this one because it's my final position, just cuz. And then I've got this drawing here. Let's delete it. I've got only 2 frames there, and I'm going to make him land. So here he is. Oh, and see, yeah, that's about right. So, yeah, that'll work. But see, his foot is actually already down. So now what I really need is to have him squash again. And probably should make this be a little further down. There. All right. So now what do we got? See, it feels like he's actually jumping now. So if we play it, now that's not in between, but it does feel like he's doing that. So now, I mean, this jump, this position from that position is a little too extreme, and his head is losing its volume a little bit. So if I make it bigger, it will feel better. All right, so let's put another in between him Now what I'm going to do is, again, it's the reaction. Squash and stretch go together. So I'm going to stretch him a little bit as he lands. He's going to... There. All right. So now, see, now that feels a little more natural. Man, I should probably... I'm not even talking about timing it yet. But see how that the bounce back and forth makes it feel like he actually is doing that. See, what are you guys talking about? Let's see. Classic tween, motion tween. Oh, shape tween. Yeah, you're right, man. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm not even talking about that stuff yet. But yeah, I'm just doing more classic, traditional animation. Looked like he's about to fly around like a pop balloon. Yeah, well, I'm not saying the timing's perfect. But anyway, there you go. So that's the principles of squash and stretch. So now I suppose I could probably in between him a little bit, because this is probably too many frames. And you wouldn't just pop to this. He would have to animate downwards. So let's add some in-betweens. So if I add an in-between directly between these two, let's see, here this arm goes here, because it's halfway between this and this one, and this arm would go over to here too. And let's drag his hand just a little bit. He's kind of scary looking there. Yeah, whatever. It's an in-between. In-betweens don't have to be beautiful. They just have to work. Alright. Alright, so now let's get one more. And actually what I really want is... I want an in-between between these two here. So... Whoa. Because he's going to slow down, so the more drawings that I have at the end, the slower he will be. If you did a timing bar for it, and I had drawing 1 and drawing 2, I would put one halfway between, which I already did, and then I would do another one halfway between the in-between, and then that would slow him down. A lot of times people will even do this. Another one in between the second in between. So this would be 1A, this is 1B, this is 1C. Sometimes they even go to 1D. It depends on what you want and how heavy that character is. If it was a big fat guy or a big muscly dude, it would take him longer to build up the energy to jump in the air. So alright, so let's see. I'm gonna just in between this. Alright, so now that feels a little more natural. See, because now he's really jumping. Alright, so now this one is really probably only 1 frame or 2 frames. Uh, yeah, no, I didn't finish. Jump, jump, jump. Yeah, I'm just gonna end between this, and then I'll go back to the actual thing. I don't know. I may not finish again today though because I'm doing this, but you guys asked for it, so you wanted it. All right. So I'm just trying to make everybody happy. All right. So now I'm just gonna do one in between this and this. And anyway, what's up, Fru? Fru. Do one in between here. Let's do. All right. And whoops. There. All right. So now we probably want to add like one more drawing in here so that he slows down a little bit more. So I'll do an in-between. The in-between will be close to this one. And I'll continue his arms upward because his arms still haven't finished the energy that they were given when he jumped. So now they gotta rise up because now they're gonna be sliding down. He'll even make his head go up a little bit. And I can even stretch him a little further. See how his legs are like just about under his body at this point. Under his head, I mean. So there. I could probably add an in-between between these, but I'm not positive that'll look good. So let's try it. Maybe it's one frame. How about that? Let's try one frame in between. I think probably the answer is no, this is not going to work. But sometimes with animation you add too many drawings and then you delete the ones that don't work. So let's try it. Can't hurt. It's just extra drawing. I think that this is not going to work though. I think it's going to slow it down, but I might be wrong. Oh, see, that actually works nicely. That actually gets rid of the little taint that it had there. That worked really well, actually. All right, so now let's do one more. Let's see, one more in between. So when he's landing, we'll do one. So this is the final drawing. So let's delete this one. And we'll have him land. So he's already landed here. But we'll in between the arms so that they don't feel like they jump so much. All right. So feet are planted, legs are squashing, and you know what else you can also do? I could also, if I vary the legs so that one leg is kind of sitting, one is planted, the other one's about to land. That varies it and makes it a little more interesting. So now let's take a look. Yeah, see, that works nicely. All right, so now we've got that one works. Now I need another in between this and that. So we'll do that one. And now, in this case, I want the in-between to be closer to the final position there, not to this one, because he's going to slow again. So my timing is, again, like this. This being pose whatever, and this being this pose. So let's do that. So I'm going to make this drawing. See, and the way that you can actually check that is, if I go from the top of the head to the top of the head, I want the top of this head to be closer to this, so that it's closer to him. And yes, I did this, but the bottom hash mark is always the later drawing. So if you flop this is exactly what I'm trying to do. I don't really want him to be exactly halfway. I want it to be closer to this one. Or actually, in this case, it's more like that. That's what I want. Timing bars, by the way, are the classic way that all animators would communicate. So the animator would tell his in-betweener, this is how I want you to animate this, and in-between it. Alright, so now let's... Alright, so now let's... I actually think I want some of this. You guys aren't really talking much, so I'm not really looking up. What about timing? How do you know how many frames you need for one position? Is it a gut feeling? No, it's not a gut feeling. It has a lot to do with slow in and slow out, which is another principle, which I haven't really gotten to yet. But basically, when you have an animation where he's going to go from... So, alright, so look. So we start out with him just sedentary. When he goes down, he's going to slow to a stop. So by slowing to a stop, there's more drawings here. You'll notice that I went from this drawing to this drawing, and it feels okay. That is a timing of this. Where for the first drawing, here's 1, this being 1, this one being 2, really. Well, actually, this is my keyframe. So if this is 2, then my timing would be, I have 1, 2, 2 drawings in between it. So it would look like that. So there's more drawings. So it's like that. See, and that's the way that's how you would time it. So that's a slow out. And what that means, in case I'm not being clear, is that you have one drawing that's halfway between 1 and 2, which would be this drawing. And then you have another one that's closer. Actually, I guess it would be this one is really the halfway point, and then this one is a little closer. So really, this is 1A, 1B. So this is 1A, and wait, hold on, I got that wrong. Sorry. This is 1B, 1A. So there you go. So that's how you would time this out, is he's slowing down. So that's kind of important to know, because think about it, when you go to jump, say you go for a jump shot or whatever, you have to antic down, you build up your energy, you collect it, which means you're going to slow down to a stop, and then you recoil and jump up. So that's what he's doing here. So it's going to slow down. So there's more drawings when you slow down. And then I just popped from that drawing to that drawing because I don't need any in-betweens between this one and this one. If I put a drawing in between this, it would slow it down and it wouldn't look right. So let's experiment with that. If I take a drawing and I put one, this is drawing 2 and 3, and I put a drawing halfway between 2 and 3. So again, this is 2. Here's 3. If I did a 2A and I did a timing of exactly that, let's do that. So I'm going to, here's the top of his head. Here's this one, so I want a drawing right there to hit this timing correctly. Right? So I'm going to put the top of his head exactly here. Okay? Well, in between it, okay. Now, if we watch this animation, you'll see it slows down his jump. It works. It's still not bad, but it slows it down to the point where it doesn't feel as natural to me. I mean, he's got a lot of energy he's building up because it's a cartoon. If you were going to have more drawings, it still actually works. But I think that it works probably better without it. It looks okay. But you see how in-betweening that slowed it down. Now, if I get rid of that again, watch what happens. If I get rid of that drawing, see how it felt? It feels a little more bouncy. Sometimes you put in-betweens in to show, because like one drawing to another, it pops too much, and so you want an in-between to make it clearer. You can see at that end there needs to be more in-betweens here, I think. Right there, yeah, see that's not enough. He just pops there, so we need another in-between between that. Anyway, does that make more sense about the timing? Is that clearer? Hey, what's up, Trippy Tube? How you doing? Hey, what's up, Jack? How you doing? Good to see you guys. Let's see. Lots of people. Wait, what are we talking about? Barbecuing? CBR, what are you talking? Father's Day. Yeah. Yep. Tomorrow. I see. Thanks. It's about physics. Yes, it does. It's exactly about physics. It just takes longer to slow down to something. Which, by the way, I don't know. Speaking of physics, we've been watching. You know, I belong to the Emmy Academy because I've won an Emmy, and so I belong to the Academy for them. So I get to vote on, who gets an Emmy award every year, and so they send me a ton of stuff, which is awesome. Sometimes it's not so awesome because I've literally got boxes of the stuff that they've sent me, and a lot of it I don't really want to watch anyway. But we've been watching this thing called Genius, which is the life of Albert Einstein, which is just genius. It's directed by Ron Howard and produced by his partner Brian Glazer, and it's really insightful and really interesting. And if you're at all interested in physics, or if you're interested in him, I learned a lot about him. I did not know, that it was really insightful and pretty doggone cool. He was quite a character and quite a human being. Anyway, if you get a chance, check that out. called Genius. It was on the Nat Geo or the National Geographic Channel. I definitely am. I'm definitely interested in voting for that because I thought it was really brilliant. All right, so I'm just going to aim between this till this feels normal. And it's 2 o'clock, so we're coming up on the first hour. Well, technically is a little more, but... So now you see I'm adding more drawings at the end here. First of all, to make this feel smoother, because it doesn't. But see, now it's starting to. See, that makes a difference. So one other thing that I can do here to make it feel a little more natural is to add a little stretch here. So we'll add a squash and a stretch. So now watch how this feels. See how he's like bouncing, ding, 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 ding. Yep, see, that works nicely. Although I have to say, I don't think I want this drawing. Yeah, that feels better. Okay. So anyway, that is the principle of squash and stretch. Both the beginning, if you're just joining us, here's the beginning of squash and stretch. And it's just taking one piece of artwork and squashing and stretching it to make it feel like it's alive, so to speak. And then here is the second part of squash and stretch. I guess I should put it over here. Maybe I'll put it down here. Ah, look at that. And that's the second one of squash and stretch.